Alright friends, a very special good afternoon to one and all. Myself Shabnam, just a minute of introduction since with most of you we are interacting for the first time. Myself Shabnam and on behalf of the Code Arc, I welcome you all a very special greeting. Alright, fine, okay. At Code Arc, not taking a lot of a time, just a small stuff of this discussion. At Kodak, we introduce people to the concept of coding, technologies, and to stay firm with the upcoming tech. I hope you got my point. Alright, fine. Otherwise, who are you? Who am I? What's the code arc for? We have a lot of time to talk together. Let's begin as for the agenda. Alright. Okay. As you all are aware, we have gathered here for SQL. That stands for Structured Query Language. Okay. For some of the people who have asked us, one more thing in between, I would like to keep speaking in both the languages, Hindi as well as English, as we have audiences from both the backgrounds. Alright, fine. Okay, number two, for most of our friends who have joined and subscribed the channel, those who had requested the copy of syllabus, we had also forwarded you. Certain topics in the daily sessions have been shuffled up and down. That is just to maintain the continuity and rhythm of the flow. Alright, fine. I shall make that very clear. First of all, these are the topics that we are going to cover up. Okay, that is the fine. What's SQL? Introduction as well as installation of MySQL. Right? When the time comes and we start talking about MySQL, I'll tell you what it is. What are relational databases? Then directly we'll jump upon, after installing MySQL, we'll directly jump upon SQL data types, operators, statements. Alright. Later on you'll realize the statements we have grouped into different SQL command groups like DDL, DML and so on. Alright. Okay, let the time come right when we talk about them. Then some useful operations. Although you will find these useful operations, we aren't discussing them today. We'll be discussing them most probably tomorrow. Okay, these are only the titles of the topics I mentioned in front of you to let you know what is the curriculum and what does it all covers up. Okay, fine. Then we are going to talk about aggregations, which is a little high-end concept of SQL. That mainly talks about group by clause, having clause, over clause, partition by clause, and so on, and different aggregate functions. Okay, we'll be having some common functions like ranking functions, logical functions, conversion functions, mathematical functions. We cannot jump upon this topic straight ahead. To understand these functions, we need to have the basics of SQL pretty clear. Alright, okay, and then in one of the sessions, we are going to learn about the analytical function. Like how to deal with the data. Some of the analytical functions are like lead, lag, first value, last value, and so on. When the time comes, we'll talk about them much more in detail. Alright, DDL, DML, as I told you already. Constraint, we are going to talk right today. Since it's important to know the concept of constraint before heading ahead with tables. Okay, fine. Then finally, we will be left with two major topics of SQL. That is joins and views. Alright, the last day we will be keeping it up either for the revisions or doubt solving or the making of one hands-on projects. Alright, give me a moment of time. There's certain requests here. Let me answer them quick. Okay. 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 Okay, alright, fine. One thing before we could go ahead from here, please feel free to ask any of it out. Straight ahead, put them in the comment section. We will try our best to reach you out either during the session itself or post session in case if time does not permit. Alright, fine. That's one thing. Number two, this is agenda for the session today. As I told you, first of all, a 5-10 minute historical points for SQL. Like what is SQL, why it is called as SQL, how did it come all across, okay, what is the need of SQL, then how does it differ from MySQL? Alright, for example, what is SQL and what is the difference between SQL and MySQL? Then we'll start talking about different types of operators if time permit, otherwise mainly data types, command groups and constraint. These will be the later main agenda. Alright, fine. Okay, that's all. This was all about the introduction of the topics to be covered up in these 5 days rapid fire boot camp. Alright, it doesn't matter whether you are already an advanced user of SQL or you do not know anything about SQL, doesn't matter at all. You come from whatever background. If you follow us these sessions in discipline along with some practice questions that we assign you, you will end up at the end of the last day with much more knowledge in hand. I hope you got it. Alright, fine. So here we go all about. Let's keep all these points, intro, everything aside. Okay, one last request to you. In fact, please attend this series, entire all 5 days sessions with book and pen in your hand. It matters a lot when you note down the points, some of them important, some of the examples in your own by your own. Okay, all right. Here we go. Okay, number 1. This entire journey of SQL, we start from a very simple term, that is data. Alright, you might have come across data many a times. Alright, you say, भाई ये मेरा data है, ये तुम्हारा data है, data वहाँ पे stored है, data C drive में है, data D drive में. It's become a very usual norm, common practice for even a common man to use the term data. Understood? But how many of us do actually know exactly what is data or what data refers to? Alright, fine. Let me not wait for your reply in the chat box. Let me go on ahead. Most of the bookish definitions, if you read, or maybe the sources and websites that you refer, many authors have defined data as unstructured or raw information. Understood? Right, so the very first day I would like to advise you to never conclude, kabhi nahi कहना data is information or information is data. That's absolutely wrong. Alright, some of our friends who are attending our sessions already once might have heard this example many a times from me. But data kabhi info nahi hai, information means jankari. Data kabhi information nahi hai, nor information is data. In fact, you could see that, adjective defining data before information, it's a raw info. You understand the meaning of raw? It's like kacha, which is an opposite of ripe. Alright, so data is ideally kacha information. It's a raw information, unprocessed information, or unstructured information. I hope you got that. Is it right? Number 2. So if you could change this definition to a bit, if you process the data, is it right? If data is unprocessed information, so if you process that information, if you unprocess the data, it definitely becomes information. Alright, so let me put this point here. Data, when processed, becomes information. Alright, fine. So data is always a raw information. It's never an information. But when you process data, आप जब उसको process करते हो, तो वो definitely एक meaningful जानकारी में convert हो जाता है. Alright. Now for those of our friends who are finding it a bit confusing, by what does that mean? I give you some example here. Say I write something called as Raj. And if I ask you, what exactly is Raj? Is Raj data or is Raj an info? Some of you might end guessing up Raj as data, some of you might end guessing up Raj is by information. You understand? आप ऐसे कुछ कहेंगे भाई नहीं ये तो data है. सब कहें no, Raj is an information. I further add after Raj suppose 20. And after 20 I further add another piece of text called as mobile. So altogether what it says, is this data or is it info about Raj? This is data. Alright, because I really don't know Raj as a name is what, right? Is it my employee name, or is it a customer name, or is it any student name, or is it any patient name if it is you are talking about some hospital management system? Understood? तो राज जो डेटा है अभी तक का, इंफॉर्मेशन अभी बनेगा like this. Let me call it as name. And if you are more particular, I can even call it as, yes, Raj is a student name. Now because you said Raj is a student name, it becomes sense to guess what could be 20 of Raj, or how 20 could be associated with Raj. Alright, say 20, as some of you might guess, maybe this is his age. Alright, no, but this is not just age, maybe this is the roll number of Raj. I hope you got it. It could be age as well, but 20 Raj का क्या है भाई, उसका age है या उसका roll number है? आपको 20 प्रोसेस करने से पता चला, it becomes information now. Alright, so what is Mumbai? Is this my residential address, or is this my maybe the place where I work at? Alright, so eventually let me write here as Mumbai is the address, or say my residential address where Raj stays. Understood? Right, so Raj 20 Mumbai, when processed with these prefixes, student name, roll number and address, it becomes a complete set of information. Understood? Right, so this is what is we conclude from the last 5 minutes. ये पूरी 5 मिनट से हमको ये समझने आता है, डेटा कभी जानकारी या इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं है. डेटा इज कच्चा इंफॉर्मेशन. When you process the data, it becomes a meaningful information. I hope you. In fact, to your strange surprise, information technology, to whom we call it as an IT, it never talks about information. It talks about data. We have to deal with data so that it can be processed into information. Alright, fine. So this was our first point that to discuss and to begin journey of SQL. That's what is data. Alright. Number 2, after understanding what's data. Number 2. Okay. The place where, when I say place, you can consider it as your disk. Maybe the partition of the disk is C drive, D drive, or E drive, or any storage media. It could be even cloud. You understand cloud storage? Right? We don't have that much of time to go into the depth of cloud computing or cloud storages. But let me still give you an example, like your drives, your Google drives, your Gmail drives and all, is exactly stored where? Not on your local disk, but on the cloud. That's Google Cloud. Alright, fine. So the place, storage जहाँ पर data is stored in the disk, is called as a table. Alright, fine. So the first term that we coined today to start SQL was data. Number 2, table. Now data in the table is organized in the form of rows and columns. Right? For the easy understanding of data, for easy retrieval of the data is better organized in the form of rows and columns. For example, you have your cupboard in the home. Now of course your cupboards comes with an inbuilt shelves. Suppose if there were no shelf, it becomes so difficult to manage the stuffs inside. Correct? तो आप समझेंगे कि भाई डेटा मैं हार्ड डिस्क पर किधर भी रख देता हूँ for storage? No. If you talk about databases, or if you talk about the storages, you have to properly organize the data into rows and columns. Alright, that proper organization of data into row and column is called as a table. One good example of the table could be an Excel sheet. Alright, where you store the data in the form of an Excel file. Alright, fine. Acha. One thing to remember here is rows in the table are also called as records. Alright, what do you mean by row, people? Row is a horizontal line. Column, that's a vertical line. Alright, so columns in the table are also called as fields. So indirectly you can say that table is made up of columns and, or let me say records and fields. Is that very clear? Fine. So that's second definition to start the journey of SQL. One was data. Understood. The proper organization of data in the form of rows and columns, that's called as a table. Alright. Number 3, raising our standard one more level higher. अपना standard एक level बढ़ाते हुए. When several tables are connected together. Understood. Or let me say when several tables are stored together, that becomes a database. I hope you got my point. For example, in order to compute sales, I need information about products, I need information about customer. So product table, customer table, sales table. Together I have stored it together in a place which is called as a company accounts or maybe company sales database. I hope you got my point. So when several tables are collected together, that common ground is called as nothing but a database. अच्छा, अभी एक जानने वाली बात यहाँ पर ये है, if that is what is database, then what do you mean by RDBMS? In one of the video that I had released shortly, I was talking about RDBMS in it and how did it change the world of backend programming. I hope you got my point. In fact, I was talking about some historical point. We'll share once again today in short here. बट एक बात जान लीजिए, जब डेटाबेस में अलग अलग टेबल्स आप ऑर्गेनाइज करते हो, कलेक्ट करते हो, रखते हो, यू विल ऑलवेज कम अक्रॉस अ नीड टू रिलेट टू टेबल्स. आई होप यू गॉट माय पॉइंट. फॉर एग्जांपल, इन अ सेल्स टेबल से ऑर्डर नंबर 1 में आपने कौन सा प्रोडक्ट सेल किया, ऑर्डर नंबर 1 में आपने किस कस्टमर को प्रोडक्ट सेल किया. सो दैट मीन्स indirectly, sales table need information not only about the sales or sales ID or maybe the final bill amount, but also needs information about the product involved in the sale or maybe customer who was involved in the transaction. Alright, fine. So in the sales table, you have connected the data of product table, you connected the data of customer table. Now since these 3 tables are interconnected with each other, we say it's not any ordinary database, it's a relational database. I hope you got my point. Is it right? I repeat for the one more time. When we talk about RDBMS or relational databases, is a place where tables are interrelated within the database to each other. Alright. Very soon you will realize the need of RDBMS, how to create RDBMS, and most importantly, how to relate the 2 tables inside the RDBMS. Fine. Alright, so data, table, tables when connected, it's called as a database. Within the same database, when multiple tables are related to each other, understand? 2 टेबल के बीच में जो रिलेशनशिप आपने डाल दिया, उसकी वजह से वो कॉमन ऑर्डिनरी डेटाबेस नहीं है, वो रिलेशनल डेटाबेस कहलाया जाता है. I hope you got my point. Is it right? Okay, all my eyes on the comment section. In case any, please put them in the chat box. We'll stop and answer you first. I hope you got my point. Is that correct? Fine. Okay, now let's see how to create the table using one of the backend application. But before that, I'll talk to you about something called as SQL and MySQL. Right? We have started the journey of SQL, which is often also read as SQL. Okay, you'll find outside many programmers ideally call SQL as they read it aloud as SQL. Alright, find a very short history of what is SQL and then how the term SQL was coined from SQL. Alright, as I had narrated a small story kind of narration in one of the release video, like long back when the world first introduced the first database, somewhere in 1960s, आपके सामने सबसे पहला डेटाबेस सामने आता है. Many people started struggling to deal with the data in the database. भाई डेटाबेस तो आपके पास है, पर जो डेटा अंदर है उसके साथ हम डील कैसे करें, उसे एडिट कैसे करें, टेबल या डेटाबेसेस में से बाहर कैसे लाएं, नया डेटा अंदर कैसे डालें, एडिट, डिलीट, मॉडिफाई, अपडेट, ये सब कैसे करें, हाउ टू क्रिएट अनदर टेबल इन द डेटाबेस, व्हाट इफ देयर एग्जिस्ट रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन द 2 टेबल, वो कैसे करें. I hope you got my point. So that gave rise to another issue after we saw the POS database. Then a computer scientist who worked with IBM, that's Sir E.F. Codd. In fact, he came up with some principles, some ideas, भाई ऐसे deal करेंगे, वैसे deal करेंगे. In fact, the intelligent man, he came up with 2 languages also. He proposed to IBM, भाई see, these are my developed languages. आपको अगर से data से deal करना है, तो ये 2 languages मैंने बनाई हैं. Sir E.F. Codd says, one is called as relational algebra, one is called as relational calculus. This will solve all your problems. Alright, but somehow he could not convince IBM or the people working at IBM and the common users like you and me. Only for the reason it was too complicated for any common man to understand and interpret it. Understood? Fine. At the same time, 2 more employees who were working at IBM that time, one called as Mr. Royce, other called as Mr. Chamberlain. They picked up the idea of E.F. Codd, and the only problem with his concept was his language to deal with was very complicated. So they converted the idea into a simple language to deal with the database, and they named it as SQL. Alright, the Boyce and Chamberlain, they named the language as SQL, that is structured, E for English, QUE for query, and L for language. Alright, the SQL very soon started to be calling as SQL. I hope you got it. So if someone asks you exactly what is SQL, it's a language to deal with the data in the database. It's the language to insert new data in the database. This is the need of SQL. It inserts data, modifies any existing data in the database. It is used to delete the data from the database, create tables in the database, add some constraints in the database, and whatnot. Otherwise, without SQL, which was it almost practically impossible to deal with the data inside the database. I hope data generate hota hai at a very rapid speed. For those of my friends who are coming, and in fact those who are not also, for all of us who have heard about what exactly is a big data, and if you have never heard about big data, please take it as some homework assignment. Like, what is data and how does it differ from big data? So data generate hona is not an issue. तो बहुत rapid rate पे generate होता है. Say talk about some temperature sensors. Okay, maybe within an interval of every second it is sensing and recording the temperatures. Are you understand? So maybe at the end of the day there would be huge values. At the end of the week, month, year, hundreds and thousands and millions of values. So generation of data is not a deal, but handling of this generated data. तो उससे deal कैसे करना है? How to update, modify, retrieve, delete, how to bring it out and present in the form of graph on a report. That's a big deal. This is where you realize the need and role of SQL. That's a structured query language, specifically designed for common users to read and understand in a very simple English. I hope you got it. Alright, so that's all about SQL, is history. Why do we need SQL? Okay, now number 2, to write the code of SQL. कहीं ना कहीं पर तो आप कोड लिखकर कंप्यूटर को इंस्ट्रक्शन देकर टेबल्स बनाते होंगे, डेटाबेसेस बनाते होंगे. Of course, I cannot write SQL as a programming language in Notepad and run it. Even if you end up writing, you won't be able to run or execute it. You need an appropriate software to understand SQL, correct? Right? In case if any of you are coming here from IT background, and for example, when you write the C program, so you need a particular software to compile and run the code. Everything your Word, Excel, PowerPoint can't do. Everything you write on Notepad and it cannot run automatically, right? Is that fine? Correct. So there are several softwares. There are several applications wherein you can write the code of SQL. You can create your own table. You can create your own databases. One such IDE, full form of IDE, Integrated Development Environment. Okay, integrated, that's nothing but application software. Okay, application software, where are you going to write the code? Alright, तो एक ऐसा सॉफ्टवेयर जहां पर आप SQL का कोड लिखते हो, that is Oracle. Okay, when I talk about Oracle, either 11G, 12C, whatsoever, that is a different version. Make sure if you are working with Oracle, you are developing a standard edition. Since enterprise comes with a copyright, you need to purchase it. Alright, fine. Okay, another possible option could be MS SQL Server. It's a Microsoft product. Again, make sure that you're working with a standard edition. Although MS SQL Server 2 comes with its copyright, if you want to purchase and use it, it's a full feature that has been supported in the enterprise edition. But the one IDE that we are going to use to write the code of SQL and run the queries, that is MySQL. Alright, fine. Very quickly, I'll take you through from where to download MySQL and what exactly is MySQL. Okay, in one of the coming series, I'm also going to work on Oracle 11G as well as MS SQL Server, in case if any one of you are interested to learn that, or maybe at the back end you're working with those two softwares. Alright, MySQL, because the reason behind using MySQL as an IDE to write SQL queries is it is free. Although it comes with a proprietary version as well for some of the standard features. Alright, now since we are not going to incorporate any of those standard features in our examples, we can easily go with the free version. I hope you got my point. Is it right? So Oracle, maybe MS SQL Server, maybe MySQL, list continues. I stop here, but it doesn't. Understood. The list still continues, the different application software, backend software, where you can write SQL as a query language. They differ in the syntaxes. Like Oracle, if you talk about it, uses PLSQL, its own programming language. वो हल्का फुल्का syntax का difference आपको इधर उधर दिखेगा. Otherwise, more than 80% of the concepts are same in either of these softwares. Alright, fine. So starting from data, if I could summarize in this last half an hour all that we did, हमने शुरू किया with what is data. Data को जब आप properly organize करते हो, it's called as a table in terms of rows and column. Decently जब आप disk पे रखते हो, rows are also called as records, columns are also called as field. Two or more than two tables forms a database. When two or more than two tables in the database are related, when they are connected, it forms RDBMS. Right? So SQL or SQL is a programming language to deal with the data inside RDBMS. I hope you got my point. Is that clear? Fine. Okay. Next, we started talking about what is MySQL. If SQL is a language, see, this is how you have to remember. SQL अगर programming language है, तो MySQL software का नाम है जहां पर ये language हम लिखते हैं. As I told you, recall the point again. Of course, you cannot expect me to write this SQL का coding in PowerPoint and execute, because that's not an appropriate software to do so. Is that correct? To accomplish your task. Alright, fine. Alright. So here, history I talked about, SQL I talked about. Okay, this is what I wanted to say. Okay, it is used to retrieve, add, delete, edit information in the database. That is what is the need of SQL. SQL की जरूरत क्या है भाई? Retrieve मतलब बाहर निकालना, add मतलब अंदर डालना, delete मतलब erase कर देना information in the database. Alright, fine. This is some light let us throw upon MySQL. First of all, it's freely distributed and open source software. Like you can contribute to the code of it. But it is also available under some proprietary licenses for some standard features. MySQL free है, but उसके कुछ features copyrighted है, आपको purchase करना पड़ता है. Alright, MySQL was first sponsored by, introduced by a Swedish company, MySQL AB that time, and which was later taken over by Sun Microsystem, which is now called as Oracle. Alright, the The first version of MySQL arrived on 23rd May 1995. I think that's more than 2.5 decades now. Is that correct? All of us fine. So that's all about what is MySQL. MySQL सॉफ्टवेयर है, SQL प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज, डेटा से डील करने के लिए. Fine. Okay. So this is the official website. You can download MySQL from. Alright. Suppose if you do not want to remember it, no issues. Okay. You simply type download MySQL. In fact, the very first link that opens up for you is official website of MySQL. Yep, you go to it. Under the download section. Okay, under the download section. I hope you saw, right, what I did. Correct? आपने देखा होगा मैंने क्या किया यहाँ पे. For example, I said download MySQL. To be little more particular, if you want to download it for Windows या आपको Mac के लिए download करना है, वो आप specify कर देना, जबकि ये option आपको आगे भी पूछेगा. So MySQL download. So first link. ठीक है. Under the download section, just go down and you will find a link called as MySQL Community GPL Downloads. GPL stands for General Public License. Okay. The distributions which are distributed in GPL, they are mostly open source and free. Okay. No license or no copyright. That's called as a General Public License. So software GPL के norms में distribute होता है. And from here you will find a link called as MySQL installer for Windows. Okay, this is where you have to click MySQL installer for Windows. So for me, it is already installed. So I'm just going to give you a go through of it. Later on, after the session and before tomorrow's class, I'll keep the installation steps wala file uploaded in the description box. Okay, so that those who are joining us for tomorrow, make sure आप install करके एक बार practice करके आते हो. Please try to do that. You will enjoy it. Okay, fine. All right. Now, depending upon you have a 64-bit operating system or a 32-bit operating system, download it. Okay. If it is 64-bit, go for x86. If it is 32-bit, go for X. Then the next option, let me say, that is MSI installer. Same thing. Okay. Once you click to download here, okay, it would take few couple of seconds or maybe minute, depending upon your speed of downloading, and it starts downloading. Okay, I say, okay, thanks. No, just start my download. Just start the download. Okay. So it has almost started downloading. Right? In case if it doesn't show you here. Okay, it's downloaded, people. Okay, you could see it's downloaded here. 2 times because I clicked to it 2 times. Next, just double click to it. Double click to it. Okay, now for me it's already installed. Double click करके वो पहले अपने आप को unzip करेगा. Click yes for account control permission. Okay, fine. Now I do not reinstall it back again. I just take you to the steps of installation. Okay. Let's not spend a lot of time behind it. Only those steps which needs attention will give time. जिसे सिर्फ next करके आगे बढ़ना है, वो आपके लिए फाइल नहीं रखते, वो आप आगे देख सकते हैं. So this is what happens when you double click MySQL to install. It unzips itself. Then it provides you the next option to choose a setup type. यहाँ पर आपको full select करना है. By default server only selected रहता है. तो ध्यान रखिए आप full करते हो. Means I want to install MySQL with full features. Okay. Next. Then then it will take some time to check your requirements. भाई MySQL सेटअप करने के लिए Excel चाहिए, Visual Studio चाहिए, Python चाहिए, कनेक्टर ऑफ Python चाहिए, सब आपके पास है कि नहीं है? Alright, you just have to click on execute button. होगा तो ठीक है, नहीं होगा तो ऑटोमेटिकली डाउनलोड करके इंस्टॉल कर दे. Right? MySQL आप इंस्टॉल करने जाओगे, there are many dependent softwares in between which you will require, or packages and libraries. You just have to keep clicking on execute. It will automatically manage. Alright, fine. Okay, later it gives you this kind of warning. One or more product may not have been satisfied. Need not to be panic. Just say yes and आगे बढ़ो. ठीक है? Yes and say go ahead. Next people, the next step of installation, guys, it will show you. In fact, for confirmation, देखिए भाई MySQL ये सब चीजें पीछे इंस्टॉल करेगा साथ में. अकेला MySQL इंस्टॉल नहीं होता है, उसके पीछे फिर आपको राउटर चाहिए, शेल चाहिए, नोटिफायर चाहिए, उसके साथ वर्कबेंच चाहिए, MySQL सर्वर चाहिए. Are you sure? So continue, otherwise cancel it. Click on execute button. It will take some couple of seconds of time for all these dependencies and sub products to be installed. Alright, fine. ठीक है, जैसे जैसे इंस्टॉल होगा वैसे वैसे यहाँ पर ग्रीन टिक करता जाएगा. See, keep checking. This is all complete. Once it is completed, click next. Okay, once done, we click to next. चलिए, next. Okay, next. Fine. Nothing to be done here. It's just like a configuration step that says you भाई ये सब चीजें ready to configure है. Click next so that it will be installed. And so basically, if you saw, आपने एक चीज नोटिस किया होगा तो अब तक के सारे steps next और execute करने से ही बात बन जाती है. Only that one step where you have to be careful was select full type instead of only server. And rest all default options and keep on doing next. Next. After next, okay, it asks you for the high availability option. As of now, we are not interested in these, so whatever is by default selected standalone, हम उसी को selected रखते हुए next करते हैं. So once again, the default option selected here. Then type of networking. Just make sure that here configuration type selected is development computer. Alright, fine. If I'm not wrong, by default configuration type is not development computer. अगर नहीं होगा तो आप इस drop down, you could see the arrow mark here. आप इस drop down list में से select करिए development computer as your configuration type. Alright, then just go to next. Nothing, need not to change anything in connectivity. Port number 330, 60, TCP/IP ये सब किसी भी चीज को ना हाथ लगाते हुए we go ahead. Yes, authentication mode, we again leave it what is default, that is use strong password and say next, because MySQL is account protected application. अभी आपके सामने वो सीन आ जाएगा. The screen will come in front of you. It's not like your Word, Excel, PowerPoint or a notepad to whom you click or double click and it will open. After installing MySQL, if you double click to it, the first question it will ask you is who are you, means login first. Okay, how does Gmail work? The same thing happens, right? That's how the Gmail works. If you want to access your account, you have to first log in. That's how FB works, Facebook. You want to access your profile, you have to log in. And so MySQL is also an account protected application. Right? Anyways, so next, nothing changing here. Fine. वो आपको पूछेगा please enter root user का password. Okay, now who is a root user? See, there are two types of user who will use MySQL. One who is called as the super user, to whom we also call by the name administrator or the root user. Understood? Admin का ही नाम होता है या user name होता है root. Understood? Other are the local users to whom administrator create, like your WhatsApp groups. Okay, for example, I create a WhatsApp group, so I am an admin of the group, and as an administrator, what will be my role? Maybe to add other members or to set other group permissions, correct? सेम थिंग इज एप्लीकेबल हियर. देयर इज वन एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर जिसका नाम रूट होता है. एडमिन आगे दूसरों के अकाउंट बनाता है. वो आर लेटर देन कॉल्ड एज लोकल यूजर्स. क्लियर? फाइन. यू वांट यू क्रिएट लोकल अकाउंट, यू डोंट वांट यू डोंट क्रिएट, बट एडमिन को पासवर्ड देना पड़ेगा at the time of installation of MySQL, because that's the only one account after installation you can directly access. You understood, right? If you could try to put a little stress on your mind, it's very simple thing. After installing MySQL, please picturize the story in your mind. ऐसा ऐसा होता होगा. After installing MySQL, when you double click to open or click to open, you select it from start menu MySQL. Launch होते ही पहला क्वेश्चन पूछेगा लॉगिन. अरे बट आई शुड हैव सम अकाउंट टू लॉगिन. इज इट राइट? इंस्टॉलेशन टाइम पर तो आप अकाउंट बनाते नहीं है, तो कैसे लॉगिन करेंगे? इज दैट करेक्ट? Therefore there is one default account always present, that is admin's account, whose default username is root, but password we have to set. Okay, fine. You select the password of your choice, type the password, retype the password, and then click to next. Is it fine? Okay. Alright. After that, nothing to be done. Just click next. It's asking you for Windows service. We don't want to change any service names here. So we move on and we say next. Here once again we say execute. It says भाई ये सारी चीजें install होंगी, configure होंगी. क्या आपको मंजूर है? Do you agree? We say yes, execute, because we want it to be installed. Then we move on and we say ideally finish. Okay, जबकि वो यहाँ पर installation finish होता नहीं है. Okay, later is simply ask you for the product configuration. Product is MySQL itself. Okay, we will now walk you through a configuration wizard, blah blah blah. We don't have to do anything. Say yes, next. Okay, MySQL router configuration. We don't want to install router since we aren't working in any networking yet. So without checking this bootstrap SQL router, we click on finish. Alright. As we are not interested in the configuration of router setup, clear? Check. Next करते हुए, it will just ask you for connectivity, testing the connectivity. भाई जो root user है उसका password एक बार enter करिए. It should be the same password that you provided during installation. Are you understanding? That's the reason. Remember, आपने admin को क्या password दिया है? वही password यहाँ पर देना होगा. It only tests whether it connects to SQL or not. Alright. Done. Once you do next, it says by some other configuration need to be applied. Click on execute. Every time it gives you option to execute, click on execute. Means some setup is to be applied behind the screen. Okay. Some setup is to be applied behind the screen. Fine. And then finally we say finish and finish. Alright. Fine. Okay. I'll try my best to upload this file in the description box. Although you can even Google and find out the steps of installation, but these are pretty simple with the screenshots in the Word file. Almost around 20 steps if you could see. लगभग सारे steps में आपको next ही करना था. Except one of the step that asks you to that gave you the choice of full control, and one of the step wherein we have entered the root's password. Is that very clearly understood to all of us? Okay, fine. We don't need installation steps anymore, so I close it. Fine. Now, once it is installed, friends, once it is installed, we will have to test whether MySQL is working or not. Fine. Now, this is actually where our coding starts. Alright. Fine. We already SQL installed, MySQL installed. It's a green signal in front of you. You can type SQL code and create your tables, run the query, deal with the database. Understood? One of the most industry in demand language. In fact, that will help you for any of the background you desire to work in, or any of the place you desire to work in, whether it is full stack or it is automation or it is data science, AI, ML. Database से deal करने वाली language SQL आपको आनी चाहिए. Okay, so here is where we actually start coding SQL after learning the installation of MySQL. Is it fine? Okay, all right. Waiting for your doubts as comment in the chat box. I think the things were pretty simple. That's the reason no question. Maybe you will come across the queries now since we are starting up almost with coding. Okay. Now, how to use MySQL for coding? Check it out. I go to my start menu. Okay, and this is where my MySQL is installed. You could see. Expand it. You will see along with MySQL there are so many things. But the one which we are interested in is one that we are interested in is MySQL Workbench. Right, that's MySQL Workbench. Now, let me tell you something about the MySQL Workbench. MySQL Workbench is that product, is that application where we write SQL code. Okay, fine. Is that GUI, the graphics user supported. Okay, Workbench MySQL की वो ग्राफिक्स सपोर्टेड स्क्रीन है, ग्राफिक्स सपोर्टेड एप्लीकेशन जिसमें हम SQL का कोड लिखते हैं और रन करते हैं. फाइन, ठीक है. सो आई क्लिक टू MySQL. Now you just observe the attitude of MySQL. Friends, those who are working with laptop connected, आप में से वो लोग जो कंप्यूटर्स और लैपटॉप पे काम कर रहे हैं, side by side try to download and install MySQL so that you will also end up running, executing queries along with me. Okay, just let me respond to the comment. So this is how MySQL Workbench looks like. Okay, ऐसी लगती है MySQL Workbench. One moment, please. Okay, it greets you like welcome to MySQL Workbench. The first thing that you have to do in MySQL is सबसे पहला काम आपको जो यहाँ पे करना है is create MySQL connection. Look where my mouse pointer is right now. Okay, that's create MySQL connection. One moment, please. There are some people who are waiting. Okay, fine, got it. Right, now what do you mean by MySQL connection? MySQL connection contains the login details for the database. Understood? As I told you, MySQL is not like Word, Excel, PowerPoint or Notepad or Paint or WordPad. कि क्लिक किया, ओपन हो गया and it is ready to use. No, it's account protected, like your Facebook, like your Gmail. In order to use MySQL, you have to first log in. अरे but how? It's not asking me username and password anywhere here. तो login कैसे करे भाई? Understood? For example, मैं तो तैयार हूँ, but वो पूछे तो is that correct? वो पूछे तब हम login करेंगे. So how to do that? You create a connection because connection in MySQL stores the login detail. Is it correct? See how. We click to this plus sign. Although there are many ways to create my connection, I follow the shortest one. This is the plus sign after MySQL connection. We click to this. It simply provides you an option to write connection name. You can write any name. The reason why they ask you for connection name is because so that you can reuse this connection many times. आप इसे बार बार use कर सके. Okay, so the connection name is SQL Day 1. And other thing you need to notice there is what is the username. If you have any account other than admin, you can write it. For example, Shabnam, but I don't have any account called Shabnam here. हाँ, ये बात अलग है, admin Shabnam का account बाद में बना सकता है. How to create local account when the time permit, we'll watch that. ठीक है, because we have only one account after installing MySQL. चलिए, आपके पास MySQL इंस्टॉल करने के बाद क्योंकि एक ही अकाउंट ऑप्शन में रहता है, एडमिन्स अकाउंट, we write username that is root, which was although by default written, and we say test connection. Of course, it will ask you for the password of root because that's only the authority that you are root. भाई इस बात का क्या प्रूफ है भाई आप एडमिन हो? पासवर्ड दीजिए. I write my password, which is as simple as 1 2 3 4. You provide a strong password, and I say okay. This is what a message should be prompted in front of you. आपके सामने ये message आना चाहिए. A successful MySQL connection was made with the parameters you defined. Are you understanding? भाई आपने जो डिटेल दिया उससे ये सारी चीजें कनेक्शन सक्सेसफुली क्रिएट हो गया. We say okay. We say okay. All right. And you will find here SQL Day 1 as a connection ready. Okay, I repeat this step one more time. How to create a connection? First of all, what is MySQL connection? It contains the login details. Am I right? It contains and stores a login detail. It stores the login details under a name so that you can reuse it. So we just have to click this plus. It will ask you for connection name. I write again SQL Day 1. Next thing you need to focus upon is root. बाकी सब default रखिए. इस वक्त चेंज करने का जरूरत नहीं है. Set test connection because we don't know whether spelling of root is right. User root exists or not. Test connection. ये error आपको बाद में दे तो you better test the connection right now. Say 1 2 3 4. This is my password. You will be writing password you had given at the time of installation. Come on, friends. We say okay. Successful connection was made. Okay. Okay, and you will find the connection by that name ready. Is that okay? Fine. Alright, I will excuse a moment. Fine, going ahead from here. Okay, now either SQL Day 1 or again SQL Day 1, you can use any one of them. Because both of them contain the login detail of root user, correct? So I select SQL Day 1 and finally after 1 hour we have landed inside MySQL. Alright, even for those who have joined us late, no issues at all. You have still caught us at a correct time. Okay, fine. Let me first increase the size of the font so that it is easy. आप में से वो बच्चे जो सीखना चाहते हैं फॉन्ट साइज कैसी बढ़ती है यहाँ पे, जस्ट गो टू एडिट प्रेफरेंसेस, fonts and color. Okay, so whatever is this, change it a little bigger. Say result grid. Just increase the font size by changing this number. It was 24 me. I made it 25. I say okay. And you see it's a bit bigger now. Okay, it's not necessary. But in case if you do not want to strain your eyes. Okay? Okay. Now this is how the GUI of the graphic user interface of workbench looks like. You will see two tabs here, administration and schema. See, if I want to create a new user, I can create it from here. Understood? Root हमारे पास एक ही user है, नया user बनाना है तो हम यहाँ से बना सकते हैं. How? Let the time come. We will see that. Immediately after logging into MySQL, आपको सबसे पहला काम जो यहाँ पे करना है is switch to the schema वाला tab. Schema means database. Please, I go back to the file we started the lecture from. What did I say you? Data. Data is grouped in a table. Tables are grouped inside the database. So the most atomic, सबसे छोटी entity जो है वो data है. Data को table में store किया जाता है. Multiple tables एक database बनाती है, correct? So before creating table and inserting data inside, आपको पहला database बनाना पड़ेगा as a holder. Okay, we understand holder or a container, right? So database is like a holder, it's like a container to hold tables inside. तो table तब बनेंगी जब पहले database बनेगा. Two ways you can create a database. दो तरीका है. Either you go inside schema, right click and you say create schema. Could you see that? Right click, create schema. I'll repeat it one more time in case if someone puts in the chat box. When you click to create schema, you will see a new tab opened here. Say name of the schema, I want to say SQL Day 1 Bootcamp. Okay, nothing to change here, just say apply. Next, finish. Close this. Okay, you will find here SQL Day 1 Bootcamp schema present. Okay, this is the first method to create a database. Friends, schema means a database. Okay, schema means a database. Remember, as of now, although there are differences between the two, but as of now, to go ahead by schema matlab database. Right? How did we do that? From administration tab after login, we came into schema. कहीं पर भी राइट क्लिक करिए, क्रिएट स्कीमा. सिर्फ स्कीमा का नाम बताना है आपको. से अगेन, I don't know if it exists or not. Again day 1. Apply, finish. Got it? You will find the database alphabetically arranged second in the list here. Suppose if you do not find it, आपको अगर बनने के बाद वो नहीं दिखता है, so there's a small refresh option here. You just have to click on refresh. Check where my mouse pointer is right now. आपको यहाँ पे refresh पे click करना है. And close this. Fine, this is one way. Other way to create a database is by writing SQL query. Okay, you will find me using this word query very often. Query is nothing but a one-line instruction written in SQL. Okay, those of my friends who are sitting with your notebooks in your hand, please note it down. Query is a command line instruction, people, or it's a simple instruction written in SQL language. उसको हम query बोलते हैं. What's an English meaning of the word query? Question, right? So that's what exactly structured query language says you. By you question me, I will answer you. I'm a query language, ना? Boys and girls, are you understanding or not? भाई मैं तो खुद query language हूँ. Straightforward question me, I will answer you back. That's the reason I'm called as a query language. So write your query. Now my query in the form of instruction is create database. Name of the database. Say name of my database is day 1. Alright. Semicolon in the end. Always remember. This is my next important point, people. Query khatam karne ke liye, you need to add semicolon in the end. Understood? Because semicolon terminates the instruction. Next point that you need to note back. Please keep noting semicolon terminate. What do you mean by terminate? End. Okay, semicolon terminates the instruction. So create database day 1. Now, how to run this query? Okay. This is a button right above the query to run this. What do you mean by run? Run means execute. आपने तो लिख दिया. Now let computer show you the output. Got it? That's called as run or execute. Okay, भाई मैंने command instruction दे दिया. अभी आपकी बारी है. You run the instruction and show me the output. Correct? So I click to this. Okay. Now you have to keep checking in this action output box in the bottom. What it says? Create database day 1. It should show you green tick. यहाँ पर वो green tick बताना चाहिए. That means वो बन गया. If it shows you cross, red cross, that means there is some error. For example, I run this again. If you want to use keyboard, just select the query or keep the cursor on the query line और keyboard से press करिए Control Enter. Okay? From the keyboard if you want to run, you don't want to click to this button. Keyboard से अगर आपको execute करना है, so just keep the cursor on the line where there is a query present and Control Enter. See, it shows me, sorry, error. And what is the error? cannot create database day 1, नहीं बन सकता है. Why? Because database by this name already exists. Alright guys, please put me up in the chat box, are you understanding or not? Okay, that would be very helpful for us. हमारे लिए काफी हेल्पफुल हो जाएगा अगर आप हमको पिंग करते रहते हो. अंडरस्टैंडिंग, नॉट अंडरस्टैंडिंग, व्हाटएवर इज द केस. इज इट फाइन? राइट. सो क्रिएट डेटाबेस टेबल. एक बार बनाया, दोबारा बनाऊंगा, बट वो नाम से नहीं है, SQL से. हाँ, यू वांट, you can change the name of the database like this. So it created. Fine. Acha. Now after creating the database, before creating a table, you have to write use database day 1. You don't have to write database, just write the name use day 1. If you don't write this query, वो आपको table बनाने नहीं देगा. The reason why? Because there are so many databases here. Check, there is a database called as BBC, there is a database called as bank, there is a database called as food, Friday, and IT, and so many databases here. आपको जो नया टेबल बनाना है वो किस डेटाबेस में बनाना है? For that reason we say use table. Okay, run this. Okay, syntax error. What was the error? Instead of semicolon I had typed colon by mistake. So it refused to execute. Use day 1. So I created database day 1 and I am using also day 1. Is it right? Fine. Database created. Now let's see how to create a table inside the database. Okay, database के अंदर हम table कैसे बनाएंगे? The way we have a create query for creating a database, we have a query called as create table to create a table inside the database. I hope you got my point. Okay, now what is the syntax of this query? Let me first explain you in rough on the notepad. Okay, so here we go. Okay, we write create table, table name. Understand? आपको नया टेबल किस नाम से बनाना है? आपको टेबल का नाम देना पड़ेगा. So create table, table name, and with the list of columns. Okay, always remember when we create a table, जब हम टेबल बनाते हैं, table is made up of rows and columns, people, right? But आपको पहले कॉलम बनाना पड़ता है. Only if the columns are created, rows can be inserted. Are you understanding? One more time, please. Only if the columns are created, rows can be inserted. Right? So this is list of columns. Okay, done. Terminate the query. But in list of columns, you have to specify two things: column name and column data type. Are you understanding? Right? Column किस नाम से बनाना है and what type of data will be stored in that column. ठीक है, we have entire 15-20 minutes topic coming up. What is the data type? जब तक हम वो टॉपिक पर जाते नहीं है, we will study a limited data type to create a table. Okay, like this. Please come here back. This is my workbench. Create table. Let me create a table by the name product. Opening closing round bracket. In this table product, ये तो blank table है. In this table product, how many columns you want? Alright. So for example, I want the first column as product ID. Now I know very well product ID is a numeric data. वो number ही store करेगा. Like product number 1. Say this is product number 1. I'm sitting with 2-3 stuffs here. Say this is product number 2. Okay. Maybe this is product number 3. Something like that. Okay. So product ID is going to be the integer. So this is called as column name and this is called as data type of the column. What is data type? Break the two word and read type of data. Okay. आप ये दोनों वर्ड को अगर ब्रेक करके पढ़ोगे तो data type is nothing but the type of data you want to store in a particular column. Okay, so column ID for sure is going to store only number. That's the reason its type is integer. Okay, then followed by product name. That is the second column I want. Now product name, for example, the name of this product is bottle, but name of this product is pen. So I have to write BOTTLE bottle, PEN pen. Bottle and pen, these spellings are not numbers, right? तो इस कॉलम प्रोडक्ट नेम का डेटा टाइप आप नंबर नहीं रख सकते हो फॉर वर्ड्स और डेटा विच इज मेड अप ऑफ लेटर्स एंड नंबर. मतलब इनफैक्ट जो अल्फा न्यूमेरिक भी होता है. स्ट्रिंग, SQL call them as string, and strings are declared using the data type varchar. Okay, I have given round bracket, that is to give the length of the string. Varchar. First understand what is varchar. Varchar is a data type to declare string. Let me write this point here, please. What is varchar? Okay, it's a data type in SQL to declare string. Am I right? To declare the string. Then what are strings? What are string, people? Text. Okay, it's a text or text made up of alphabets. For example, like apple, or not only alphabets but alpha numeric also, like my email ID. For example, the code Ark@gmail.com. Now you see, what does it contain? These are the letters. ये सब alphabet हो गया. @ यहाँ पर alphabet नहीं है, but it is a special character. Dot is also not an @ but it is a special character, right? ये सारे special characters. So that's the reason we call them as alphanumeric, which contains alphabet, number, special characters, symbols, etc. Okay, you want, you can write some text also here like this, or numbers also here, like the code Ark777@gmail.com. Okay, so this is called as string, which is made up of one or more than one alphabet number, special character combination. And how to declare column contain data of string type? कैसे बताए भाई कोडिंग में? Just use the keyword varchar so that it will declare the data type as a string. Okay, fine. Acha, in the bracket 10, that means this is the length of the string. This string cannot be bigger than 10 letter or character. Okay, so product name अगर आपने apple लिखा तो चल जाएगा, because length is 1 2 3 4 5. But if the product name आपने ऐसा लिखा, the code Ark777@gmail.com, आपको error देगा, because this is exceeding the length of the string or limit. Correct? It is exceeding the limit of that string. Hope you are understanding. Please put up your doubts in the comment section. We will see how to come across them. Fine. Okay. Alright, let me create one more column here. Let's say age, whose data type is again integer. And I close it. Okay. Fine. Semicolon means query done. It's time to execute. Control enter. Okay, so you see the table has been created. Okay, if you refresh and check here, this is day 1. Okay, I think I need to refresh it again. Okay, never mind. If it doesn't show from there, you can just write the query show tables. So what it says, table in day 1. What is day 1? Day 1 is a database. So table in day 1 is product. Okay, and if you want to open the table, you just write select. Okay, so tell me how many queries we have studied so far. We selected, we learned create table, create database, that is create query. Then the second query that I am executing now is select. देखिए क्रिएट से टेबल बनता है, डेटाबेस बनता है, बट सिलेक्ट से डेटा रिट्राइव होता है. Okay, select query is to bring the data out from the table. That's called as retrieval. टेबल का डेटा बाहर लाने के लिए query is select. So select star from product. Who is product? भाई product कौन है? Product is the name of the table. Who is day one? Day one is a database inside which the table has been created. Got it? Correct. Now when I say select star or asterisk from product, what does that star mean? Let us keep that question aside for some time. Let me run this query. You see, it returns a table. Table has 3 columns: product ID, product name, product age. अच्छा, age गलत दे दिया मैंने. Actually, I don't want it age, people. Let me do one thing. As of now, you will not understand alter. So let me drop this table. Drop means delete the table. Okay, take your cursor up and instead of age, let me type it as price. Okay, age does not suit as a detail of product. That should be with some student or customer or something, employee, something like that. Okay, so product ID, product name, product price. I run this query again. And now when I say select star from product, so the 3 columns it has selected: product ID, product name and product price. Right? It says me right now the table is empty. So if select query is to retrieve the data, please, I am putting it up here. Point to note, important point. Okay. Creates a table or a database. Select retrieves the data from the table. Okay, it simply pulls the data out from the table. But how? So select star from product. It has selected nothing. Now if you want new data to be inserted in the database or table, we use the query that is insert. That is to put or load. We understand loading, right? Put or load or insert data inside the table. Okay, our table is blank right now. हमारा table blank है. So if you want to load some new data inside the table, look how we do that. We simply write insert into product. Okay, what is product? It's the name of the table. What is insert into? It's the syntax of the insert query. Right, so insert into product, insert into customer, insert into sales, insert into order. I hope you got it. So these are different table names which can be used with your insert query. Okay, followed by a keyword called as values. Values point to rows, people. Alright, in fact, you can insert row column by column. ठीक है, जब आप बोलते हो प्रोडक्ट का वैल्यूज, तो कॉलम बाय कॉलम ये वैल्यूज एक रो में इंसर्ट किया जाएगा. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, व्हाट वाज द फर्स्ट कॉलम ऑफ द टेबल? प्रोडक्ट आईडी. Okay, so I type here the product ID as 1. Okay, you want, you can type any product ID. Next, product name. Now suppose the name of my first product is pen, but pen cannot be inserted in words like pen or like this. Because pen is a string, you need to enclose it in single quotes. And both work. Single quote, double quotes, both work. I have the habit of using single quote. Alright. Remember always, other than number. Number छोड़कर हम सारी चीजें single quote में ही insert करते हैं. Alright. Number छोड़कर हम सारी चीजें, maximum of the things, if not all, most of the data except number, by inserting goes inside the single quote. Okay, fine. So 1 pen, and the price of pen is ₹20. Now why I did not write 20 in quotes? ये क्यों नहीं लिखा आपने? Because 20 is not a string. 20 is a number, that is integer. Correct. Fine. Let's see whether this is right or not. Okay. Now say I forget. Okay, let me write it again. Insert into product values. Now this will be the second row we are inserting in the product table. You got it? Product table में insert होने वाला ये second row रहेगा. So 2. Let's say name of the product is pencil. Okay, and price of this product is, for example, 10. Now say by mistake I forget to enter the price. Okay, that means there are total 3 columns, but I have entered the values for only 2 columns. It gives me an error. That means column count does not match. Is it right? The count of the column is not matching. In that row, there are total 3 columns, but you have inserted values in this row for only 2 columns. Is it right? Fine. So let me write it as comma 10 or 20, whatever you want. Say enter. The data has been inserted. Okay, let me insert one more row. So insert into product values. Say product number 3. Name of the product is eraser, and say price of the eraser is 5. Okay, how to execute this query? Control enter, and it is executed. Okay, how to verify all these rows have been inserted also or not? But ये सारे rows insert हुए भी के नहीं, records insert हुए भी के नहीं. You again execute select star from product. Select star from product. When I say select star from product, enter. Okay, it says product number 1 pen, product number 2 pencil, and product number 3 eraser. I think the font size is too big. Allow me a moment, please. Okay, let me keep it 50. So product number 1 is pen, product number 2 is pencil, product number 3 is eraser. Alright, fine. So this is how we insert data inside the table, and how we display the data which has been inserted. Now, the most important question that we have not answered here is, what was the meaning of this star when we write select star from? Okay, fine. If someone could write in the chat box, I would be grateful. What is the meaning of star? Okay, you can keep commenting. I go ahead from here. When you say star, that means all columns. Okay, so never be under the impression select star will select all the rows. No. Rows to sare select hote. But star indicate columns, people. Okay, for example, I don't want to select all the columns. I want to select data only of the first column. So how we will do that? Select product ID from product. Check the output now. It has selected only the product ID column. Okay, fine. Product name from product. So it has selected only product name column. Hoping you are understanding. Suppose if I want to select 2 columns, say product name and product ID. Okay, so it has selected both. The order in which you write, output is displayed in the same way. So product ID comma product name. You see, ID will be first and product name will be next. Okay, so similarly you can experiment with the names of the columns. So you don't want to display all the columns. हाँ तो कौन से column दिखाना है वो बताना पड़ेगा. Similarly, if I write select star, that means you don't want to write the names of the column and you want all the columns. That is what is the meaning of select star from. Okay. Now suppose I realize the price of eraser is not 5, it's actually 50. Okay, भाई इरेजर का जो प्राइस है वो 5 नहीं है, 15 होना चाहिए, 15 रुपए. So let's see how to update the data in the table. Okay, so this is called as data modification. Alright, remember the command create that we studied, that was DDL. There are two groups. Actually, there are three groups. Ideally, today we are learning only two groups of command. SQL has divided its queries into two groups. Okay, let me write this point here on the notepad. Okay, SQL divides queries, most of them, not all. Okay, into two groups. One called as DDL, that's data definition language. Okay, that means the one that defines the data. Okay, defines it. Who defines definition means what? DDL में हम चीजों को create करते हैं. Okay, हम चीजों को create करते हैं, like create table. Even drop करते हैं. Okay, drop करना means what? It's an art of creation or demolition, ना? या तो create करना है या तो demolition. Edit नहीं होता है कुछ भी. You understood? Fine. So all those stuffs, all those operations which deals either with creation or with demolition, बनाना या उजाड़ देना, that's called as data का definition और data को define करने वाली queries. Right? But the other group of SQL queries are called as DML. That means we are not defining the new data. We are editing an existing data. Are you understanding? We are editing an existing data. That's what in the syllabus I have mentioned it here. Okay. That is insert, update, delete. Okay, if I could copy this. Okay, inserting. What was insert? Like you were not defining some definition of the new data. It's like you are editing the structure of the table, correct? By inserting some information inside. Again, update, it is only modifying the table. Like insert modified the table. जब तक 2 record हुआ करते थे, अभी 200 record हो गए. Alright. Similarly, delete. Delete means deleting the data people, not deleting the table itself. If you are deleting the table, that means it's a DDL command. To delete the table, we make use of drop query. And many more. As of now, I'm writing just drop and create. So creating a table or dropping the entire table, that means you're playing around the definition of the table, either creating or demolishing. बस इसके बीच में अभी जो भी आया, that means you are dealing with not creation or demolition, but you are dealing with the modification of the data. So if I insert one record, जो अब तक का 10 record तक 11 हो जाएगा. Alright, if I insert 10 records, जो अब तक का 100 था वो 110 हो जाएगा. And if I delete 20 records, so the number of rows in the tables will be subtracted. Is that correct? Fine. So that means you are editing the data of the table. Right? So if you talk about update, that means you are modifying the data. This query comes in the category called as data modification language. Alright, fine. Okay. Difference between drop and delete we will see working practically out there. But as for now, I just write name of the third group also. That's DCL. Data control language. Okay, not data definition, not data modification, but data control. Most of the security, authentication, authorization kind of commands we group into DCL group. Okay, so I don't want everyone to have an access to a particular table. I don't want everyone to have an access to a particular database. So the queries which I will use to control access, who will get what. So that is neither defining new data nor editing any existing data. It is dealing with the security issues. आप समझ रहे हैं बात? तो आप अगर कंट्रोल लैंग्वेज ग्रुप की बात करेंगे तो अक्सर यहाँ पर वो सारे कमांड्स आ जाते हैं, SQL queries आ जाती है that deals with security, authorization, authentication in SQL. Okay, what does authentication, what does authorization mean? We have a long time to go up together with. We'll see them one by one. The time right now is not correct to talk about them. Okay, fine. So this is where we are coming here from. Like mistakenly data its price of the eraser entered was 5. Actually it is 15. So how we'll do that? we say update product. Okay, what is product? See, this is what is the syntax of the update query. Update query syntax. Okay, what do you mean by syntax? Syntax is a pattern. Okay, a proper format. Let me write it here. Syntax, it's nothing but a format. Okay, like there is some format to use create. Am I right? Create table, table name. I cannot write like this, create table name and then table. SQL को वो समझेगा ही नहीं आप क्या बोल रहे हो. Am I right? SQL says भाई मुझे तो टेबल क्रिएट करने ऐसे आता है, क्रिएट टेबल फॉलोड बाय टेबल. आप पहले टेबल नेम बताओगे, प्रोडक्ट क्रिएट. No, I understand create product. Okay, so that's called as a appropriate format, which is also defined as some rule and grammar of a language. Okay, that's a rule, people. What's a grammar here? Like at the end of each query, you need a semicolon, that punctuation mark. Like English sentences are ended with full stop, SQL queries are ended with semicolon. Are you getting my point? English sentences we end with full stop. तो SQL query किधर खत्म हुई कैसे पता चलेगा? You have to end it with a semicolon. So that's again called as a syntax because it's a grammar or rule to use a language. Correct. Fine. Now what is the syntax of this update query? You just have to write update followed by name of the table directly you want to update. Say product. हाँ भाई ये product update करना है, ये टेबल अपडेट करना है, बट वो पूछेगा क्या अपडेट करना है? सेट. ओके, कॉलम नेम इक्वल्स वैल्यू. ओके, एंड देन वेयर कंडीशन. ओके, वी आर येट टू स्टडी द फिल्टर क्लॉजेस एंड वेयर कंडीशन. लेट मी स्टिल यूज अपडेट विदाउट वेयर और विदाउट टेलिंग यू व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इन डेप्थ वेयर, जबकि वेयर पर हम अभी शॉर्टली नेक्स्ट टॉपिक में आ रहे हैं. So how do we do that? Check it out please. Update product by setting price because we want to change the price, right friends? देखिए डेटा टेबल में कैसे चेंज करते हैं SQL से, right? So update product set price as 15. If it was string, I would have written in quotes, but because price का data type up is integer, we will write without quotes. Okay, set price equal to 15, but whose price? If you do like this, it will create a problem. Maybe everyone's price would be edited to 15 or it will throw an error. Are you understanding? तो उसी product का price 15 change करना where product ID is equal to 3. Am I right? So this is called as filter, people. Where clause is ideally used to filter the condition. Is it right? If I have to translate and read it for you, how will you read this query? Update product table. Price set करो 15. But किसका price 15 set करें? Eraser का, pencil का, pen का. किसका set करें? उस product का जिसका ID 3. You understood? The one product whose ID is 3. You can even use product name, but that would be risky because it is possible there are two products with the same name eraser. Understood? Say there are two different brands of eraser, brand ABC and brand XYZ. Brand name is in different column, but product name दोनों का भी eraser है. I hope you got my point. Is it soft drink, but one soft drink is Pepsi, another soft drink is Coca-Cola. But the category, both of them are soft drinks only, right? Fine. So same thing is applicable here. Product name eraser. So if you write where name is eraser, तो दोनों भी eraser का price change हो जाएगा. Okay, it is guaranteed that IDs are always unique. जबकि हमने अभी तक unique उसको बनाया नहीं, but at least enter किया है. It is guaranteed that price of the product is always unique. We write where condition to update the data in terms of IDs. Is that clear? Right? So update product table by setting price as 15, where ID of the product is 3. So let me write this. Okay, this might happen with you. देखिए ये problem आपके सामने आ सकती है. When you try to use update, delete. or alter. These are coming up one by one. I repeat one more time, update, delete, alter. ऐसी query आप use करो और वो आपको बताएगा sorry you are using safe update mode. Okay, I've already copied and pasted this error in my notepad file so that you can also keep a note of it. Here we go. Check it out. This one. Okay. This way. Fine. You are using safe update mode and then you're trying to update blah blah blah. Right? तो यहाँ पर आपको नहीं allow करेगा. ऐसा if this kind of error comes to you that you are using a safe update mode, make sure that you disable the safe update. That's one of the mode SQL or MySQL operates in. Okay, if time permit, I'll talk about safe updates, but you have to keep this mode disabled. How will you do that? Just write this query here. Set safe updates mode equals to 0. Okay, when you write 1, that means enable the mode. When you write 0, means please disable the mode. Understood? You can disable even graphically using the menus option there, but this is a short method. Disable the mode. By default, this mode is always enabled. Okay, run the query. SQL safe updates. Okay, I've written by mistake. SQL safe updates equal to 0. Okay, and now the query which refused to show output last time works. Check. If you are SQL developer in my place, आप मेरी जगह SQL developer है तो क्या करेंगे? चेक करिए प्राइस अपडेट हुआ कि नहीं. How will we do that? Select star from product. Okay, fine. So it says that eraser is now 50. Okay, similarly, if I want to change the price of pen to 100 rupees, so set price is equals to 100 where product ID is 1. You can even write where product name is pen, but you know the risk associated with it. Okay, so select star from product. So price of the product has been updated to 100. This was one of the DML group ka query that we saw. Okay, we saw insert, we saw update. That means how to update the data. Okay, data update कैसे होता है. अच्छा, अभी suppose I realize भाई मुझे ये row चाहिए ही नहीं. I don't want eraser as my product. So how will you do that? Okay, delete. Okay, I just do one thing. I need these records. So I'll delete them later. फिलहाल हमको ये record चाहिए तो इसको रखते हुए हम आगे बढ़ते हैं. Is it fine? We have some reason behind it. Okay, guys, now I realize this table product should have one more column called as product color. Okay, but while creating the table, देखिए जब table बनाया तभी तो आपने ऐसा कोई column create किया नहीं. So now you want to add a new column, correct? In this case, you cannot use update because update can only edit data of the table. Are you understanding my point? Update can only edit the data of the table. Update cannot edit the structure of the table. So in order to edit the layout or structure of the table, we have to make use of alter query. Okay, this is alter. Okay, see, alter comes in DDL because we are defining the new data now, right? We are not editing the data. Right? हम पूरी table ही alter कर रहे हैं. इसके लिए वो definition language वाले command group में आता है. But update, because we are editing already existing data, it comes into manipulation or modification language wala group. I hope you are getting it. Okay, fine. Now, first let us see how to use alter and what is the syntax of alter, because this command we are going to use many times. हम इसको बहुत बार use करेंगे. Right? So here we go. This is syntax of alter. We simply write alter table. Mind you, this word table was not used in update. इधर update और product के बीच में हमने table नहीं लिखा था. डायरेक्टली टेबल नेम लिखा था, बट विथ ऑल्टर you have to write the keyword table first before writing the table, right? So alter table, which table? Product. Okay, now there are three possibilities. See what you want to do. यहाँ पर तीन बातें हो सकती है. Either you want to add a column, or you want to delete a column. Am I right? Because this is column level editing. Row level editing करना है तो update होगा. कॉलम लेवल एडिटिंग करना है तो ऑल्टर यूज करना पड़ेगा, राइट? फाइन. मे बी यू वांट टू ऐड अ न्यू कॉलम, यू वांट टू ड्रॉप और डिलीट एन एक्सिस्टिंग कॉलम, और यू वांट टू मॉडिफाई द कॉलम. ऑलराइट, इन माय केस आई वांट टू ऐड अ न्यू कॉलम. इज दैट करेक्ट? लेट मी सी हाउ टू डू दैट. हम तीनों वन बाय वन करेंगे जबकि सिंटैक्स इज स्टिल इनकम्प्लीट, राइट? सो इन केस इफ यू वांट टू ऐड अ कॉलम, क्वेरी गोज लाइक दिस: ऑल्टर टेबल प्रोडक्ट. By adding column, it will ask you how to alter the table, right? आप बोल रहे हो भाई alter the table, but कैसे alter करें? So alter the table product by adding a column. All that you have to do is just write column name and data type. Okay, constraint if any. But to alter the table with constraint, we have different rules. So when I teach constraint to you, I will show you how to add primary, foreign keys and all. We have time to go today. I hope you're getting my point, right? So alter table product by adding a new column, name of the column and its data type. Apply this logic here, please. So alter table product, add column, product color, and the data type of this column is suppose varchar. Say length is 10. Okay, we can give length even greater than 10. It has the maximum limit. I hope you're getting my point here. When we study varchar and varchar and all, we'll talk about these limits as well. Okay, so alter the table product, add a new column color, thereby declaring the data type as string. Check it out, it works or not. Okay, the table is here, or the query has executed. What to do? Again, this select star from product. You will see a new column has been added. But by default, the values for product number 1, 2, 3 for color is null. Why null? Null means what, people? Missing data. Okay, null means no data, missing data. Okay, we cannot call 0 as a null value, no. Black string also holds value, but null का मतलब होता है missing value, right? Those first 3 rows का color is missing. It is missing because when we added the rows, that column never existed, correct? Okay, when we added the 3 rows, the column color never existed. अभी आप अगर कोई और row add करोगे, see, insert into product, values, say product number 4, product name is suppose book, price of the product is suppose 100, and I forget to write color of the book. It returns me an error. Say column count doesn't match because there are 4 columns for this row. पहले accept कर लिया because वो column तभी था ही नहीं. Correct? So let me give comma, add color of the book, say black, white, whatever it is. Enter. Select star from product, and you see the 4th row has color white with it. Is it right? Fine. Now since you are not asking any question here, one doubt is expected. तो उन 3 row का क्या? You understood? वो 3 row का क्या? You have to update them manually one by one. I hope you got my point. Although there are many other tricks and techniques where you can edit data multiple rows at a time, but as of now, what information about SQL you have? To insert the color information of the first 3 row, you will have to use update code. Okay? How? Like this. See, update product. Please update product. Set color equals black, set color equals blank, where product ID is equals 1. I execute it. I say select star from product. So this is blank. Okay, let me rewrite the same query. Update product and set color is equals to say brown, where product ID is 2. You can't give 2, 3 and all. Try to understand. आप साथ में इतने सारे नहीं कर सकते हो, error आएगा. Right? Where product ID is 2. So check select star from product. The only third record is missing the color information. Am I right? तो कैसे करेंगे फिर? So update product and set color as suppose white, eraser is white, where product ID is 3. Again say select star from product. And I absolutely agree with you in case if you're thinking, so if there were not 3, suppose if there were 3 million rows, do I have to edit for all of them one by one? Answer is yes. Otherwise they will end up containing null values. Okay, null matlab blank or missing. Okay, the data is missing. I hope we stay connected. One day when I take machine learning boot camp and you will realize null values are such a big hurdle. Understood? हमें पूरा प्रोसीजर लिखना पड़ता है फिर ऐसी null values को बाहर लाने में. What could be the possible data to substitute in place of null values and all. Okay, now other possibility is what so that the values don't remain null. Friends, ये बात पर ध्यान दीजिए. ताकि values null ना रह जाए जब आप alter करके नया column add करते हो. You can give some default value. Look like this. Say alter table product, add column. Let me say the column is product ID, product name, product price, product color, say product brand. Okay. Say where again? 10. Okay. And say I want to give some default value as XYZ. Okay, or let me give some default brand name because I'm selling the stationery products here. Let me call them as Natraj. Okay, default like Natraj. Okay, or if you want to go neutral, आपको neutral जाना है, कोई particular brand का नाम नहीं देना है. So my brand. Okay, so what will it do? It will not only add the product brand as a column, but wherever the values are missing, it will select a default brand as my brand, so that it becomes easy for us to classify later कि जहाँ पर भी my brand होगा वो substituted data है. It's not a real brand, it's a fake brand because मैंने ऐड किया है ना, वो missing तो नहीं है, कम से कम null तो नहीं है. So set it default as my brand. Let's see what happens. Okay, fine. So query has executed successfully. Now if I open this table to select the data again, you see product number 1, product number 2, product number 3, product number 4. All these 4 rows have added a new column my brand. But these values in the column for each row is not null. Okay, the value is not null. Instead, it is labeled as default value, that is my brand. Okay, so default is a kind of constraint that you apply upon data at a column level. आप समझ रहे हैं, column level data पर constraint apply किया, so that nobody accidentally leave that column to be brand. हाँ, but अभी आप चाहे तो now when you insert the next row, check it out. Insert into product, boys and girls. Insert into product values. Say product number. Let's say 4. Product name. Say compass box. I think 10 is the length. Okay, so I stop it at compass only. Product color. Let me say black again. And brand is suppose Natraj. Okay. Execute it. I missed something. I think I missed price people. हमने price miss कर लिया. Right. So product ID, product name, product price. Say this product again cost ₹100. Okay, one row affected, query executed successfully. I hope you're keeping a note of it. So now if I say select star, you can reuse the queries which are typed above. That's what I was doing. Just take your mouse pointer to the line which query you want to execute and either click this button run or execute, or from the keyboard control enter. Friends, are you getting it? So select star from product. I say control enter. And so for the first 4 records it shows my brand, my brand, my brand. But for the last record it shows it is Nataraj. Yes, by mistake I've entered the product ID also is 4. We can update the data and make it 5. I hope you're getting my point. हम उसको अपडेट करके 5 बेशक बना सकते हैं. बट इससे बचने का एक तरीका है, बेहतर होगा आप उसे प्राइमरी की बना दो, which we will study tomorrow. I hope you got my point. Story understood. Right, now finally let us see how to delete a particular row from the table. Okay, so I realize if I don't want this row of compass box. So let me say delete from product. Don't write the names of the column because you cannot delete a particular column of a particular row. All rows will have definite columns. Understood? Fine, say one row आप बोलोगे नहीं मुझे पहले 5 रो में brand name चाहिए. So row number 6 के लिए I don't want the brand name. That cannot happen because all the rows will have all the defined columns. That's pretty clear, friends. You have to note it down very well. Right? So delete from product. But what? What you want to delete? ऐसा आप लिखोगे तो सब कुछ delete हो जाएगा. Where product, I will not use ID now because if I write product ID equals 4, people, there are 2 rows with product ID 4. See, you have to keep a check on this. There are 2 rows with product ID 4. दोनों भी delete हो जाएगा. So one thing I'm sure, the product names are different. So let me this time wisely use condition in the where clause as product name is equals to say compass. Are you getting it? So run this. If I say select star from product again, so 1, 2, 3, 4, you will no more find the record of let me say compass, which was the last row. Is that correct? Acha, now suppose by mistake instead of writing the where clause I wrote like this, delete from product, and I say enter. All the rows are deleted. So if you write now select star means all the columns from product, the table is blank. Okay, the table itself is not deleted. Deleting data from the table is different and deleting the table itself is different. Understood? सारा data आपने उड़ा दिया, delete कर दिया. Of course, there is a way back to do the rollback and all. When we go ahead, we'll see them one by one. As of now, for the day today, these basics are okay. Okay, it's more than enough to understand. So select star from product. It returns me the column names. And if you want to delete the table only, you can't use delete. You have to use drop product. Are you understanding? Drop table product. Okay. So after deleting the table product, if you say again select star from product, it gives you an error. Sorry, this table does not exist. Is that correct? Fine. Okay, friends. Now listen to me carefully. From today's agenda, we are left to do with operators, data types. Okay, constraint is simple, that we'll see tomorrow. Immediately as soon as I start the class. हम जैसे sessions शुरू करेंगे, we'll start with the constraint in fact. Okay, out of these default we have seen, correct? We saw how default works today. That's okay. First session ideally we are slow because I need to understand you need to understand our method to approach you. Understood? Please go through the session one more time in case if you have missed something. If you have not understood, please write it as a comment in the chat section so that we will come back and reply to you. Understood? From tomorrow onwards, we will keep our speed a bit faster. if possible, and if you people are understanding, so that we are on time and not lagging. And suppose if you could not complete, then also we have one day, that is Friday, as a spare day to cover up any pending topics. I hope you got it. Is it right? Chali. Last few minutes we are left with. Let's do a quick recap of what we have learned. Okay, keep your fingers crossed because I'll be very fast, and do correct me in case if I go wrong. Alright? Fine. We started with exactly data, which is a raw information. Remember, data is organized in rows and columns called as a table. We create a table today. Multiple tables stored at one place, that's called as a database. And when the tables in the database are interconnected or related to each other, it becomes relational databases. Is that correct? That becomes relational databases. Next, what is MySQL? And first of all, what is SQL? SQL is a programming language to talk, communicate, matlab baatchit karna. Deal with the data inside the tables and databases. Means how to update the data, how to receive the data, how to retrieve it, how to alter it, how to delete it. Is it right? So that's what is SQL. It was, the concept of SQL was actually put forward by Sir E.F. Codd, which was later refined by Boise and Chamberlain. Am I right? All of them from IBM. Okay. MySQL is a backend platform. It's an IDE software where we write SQL queries. You know how to download MySQL, and you know how to install it. Alright? You please keep this work done by tomorrow, ताकि कल आप मेरे साथ साथ काम करते जाएं. Well, if time permit, tomorrow I'll be waiting also for you, so that you complete the code, and in case if any error, we will troubleshoot it. Take it. Fine. Okay. After downloading and installing MySQL, we have to open its workbench. We will ask you to create, which will ask you to create a connection. Connection contains login details, right? Okay. Later, after providing your login details as MySQL connection, we access the dashboard of MySQL. The first thing that we do inside the dashboard is like this. Okay, we create a new database. Let me take a new query editor. Okay, this is the button I click, people, new editor. Okay, we create a new database. How to do that? Create database, say revision. Okay, but before creating table inside this, we have to write use database revision. Is that correct? No, the word database is not required. If it shows red underline, means you have done something wrong, syntax error. Just write use followed by the database name. Is that correct? Fine. Okay. Later, to create a table, we say create table. Say table 1. Or let me say the name of the table is student. So student has ID, which is an integer. Student has name, which is a string. Okay. Run this. Next query that we saw was insert data into the table. So insert into student values. Say roll number 1 or ID 1. Name is Raj. Okay. Execute it. If you want to update this name from Raj to Rajesh, so we say update student set name equals Rajesh, where ID is equals to 1. I hope you got my point. Is it right? Later, if you want to add a new column, we have seen how to alter the table. Auto query is incomplete. That means we have seen how to add a column. We will also go ahead to see how to drop a column and how to modify the content of the column. Modify the column. That is how to change the data type. Okay, and if I want to drop this table, I will just write drop table student. And it is gone. I hope you got my point. Is it right, friends? Now see, what we are going to do is we are going to post daily practice questions on our Facebook and Instagram pages. Alright, so kindly follow us on Facebook and Instagram to receive your daily assignments. We will post the links of our Facebook and Instagram in the description box here after the session. Alright, you will get all these links in the description box. You will get the installation file in the description box before the class starts tomorrow. I hope you got my point. Is it right? Now, your duty by tomorrow is to keep Whatever we have done today, practiced at your end. If you follow us, you will be disciplined, and by the end of 5 days, you will end up learning a lot of SQL. All right, fine. This is enough to crack interviews as an SQL developer. I hope you got my point. Fine. Okay, it was a nice time spending with you all. Goodbye. And if you have really liked our work, please like, subscribe, share, comment, whatever the best you can. Right? Goodbye. Take care.